Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the German Scott Fitness Podcast Super Show, coming to you on this Monday, August the 10th. Hopefully this finds you staying safe and staying sweaty all at the same time. We are talking about fighting infection with food today. All stuff you might know, but a couple of things you guys might not in terms of how focusing on whole, real food hustle, nutrient-dense foods can make you just a healthier, happier human being. So that's what we're diving into today. Just a couple of the basic things I think you guys should include into your life every single day. And if you do not, I would strongly urge you to make an investment in time, effort, energy, maybe a little bit of money to put these things in your body every day so you can run at your optimal levels, which I think is the key for all of us. So with that said, before I jump into today's episode, reminder again, our 47-day transformation is kicking off here in 5 days, 5 hours, and 56 minutes. It is our flagship online program. It is the thing digitally I am the most proud of because we tackle all the pillars of fitness, the physical, mental, the spiritual, and the emotional. So we'll talk deep about food and eating. We'll literally give you workouts that will just rip your face off. Again, I always personally think the body weight stuff is harder than the dumbbell loading stuff, but we give you guys a nice mix of obviously both inside of here. And then obviously there's a huge personal development piece. So if you have had, let's say, less than an ideal year in 2020 in terms of reaching your goals and having the most fun possible, this is a nice time for reflection and self-auditing that we really do a deep dive into that. And I think it's important now during this time of life, maybe more so than ever before. So 47daytransformation.com. The link is in my Instagram bio if you guys are interested and you want a little podcast discount. Shoot me a message as soon as possible and I'll be happy to hook you guys up. If it makes your life easier, I'm happy to do it during these crazy times, as they like to say. So with that, we are talking about food that can help you fight infection and hopefully strengthen your white blood cells, which allows your body to be the most badass, version of Mike Tyson internally it can be in terms of fighting off the things that we don't want in our life. And so obviously the hard truth with all of this is that it's not easy to consistently do these things. It is in theory, but the application is always hard. And there is no magic, supplement program. There's no magic supplementation. There's a lot of things that can help, which I will touch on here in this episode. But there's no magic superfood that can just kind of cover all the bases, or a diet plan, or a holy grail exercise routine that can ensure that you stay healthy. It just doesn't exist. If there was, I would have created it, or I would have found it, and we would have sold it to you. And if someone had already made it before me and they sold it, they'd be a billionaire and they'd be more famous than Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett and Steve Jobs all put together. But sadly, there is not a magic one-size-fits-all anything. But the good news is, when it comes to your immune system, your daily actions can make a meaningful difference. The things you do every single day, consistently over time, that's what's going to matter. And that's, I guess, the undertone of every podcast we ever do here in talking about reaching your goals and achieving all the things that you want to get done in your life. It's the ones who can consistently practice the behaviors are the ones who are going to get the results. And for the sake of this podcast, it's those of us who are consistently practicing healthy behaviors are the people who can reduce their exposure and the susceptibility to getting sick and not feeling their best. Those of us who can consistently practice healthy behaviors, we're going to optimize our immune function over time, and we'll be better prepared when our body is visited by these foreign invaders that want to get us sick. Whether that can be anything. That can be the current season we're in, fighting the pandemic, or anything that comes your way. Because I think, and again, I understand this is new. We have tunnel vision on it, especially if you watch the news. It's all they fucking talk about. There's a lot of viruses out there. There's a lot of disease. There are a lot of infections you can get. There are a lot of things that your body can fall ill from. So while we're laser focused on this one, which is great, there is a lot of them out there. And so I think instead of just focusing on, the very minimalistic approach we've taken to certain things, I think let's look at the body as a whole. And what can we do to make ourselves the healthiest, most badass, like I said, Mike Tyson internal, virus fighting machine possible. So with all that in mind, I went through a post over at PN where they created, a little list of what are the best ways that you can put nutrients in your body to make it fight off anything that might come its way. And so I'm gonna kind of go down the checklist. And as I go through these, I don't know where you guys are at in your fitness journey. Some of you are, extreme crazy. Some of you are, in the middle trying to get better. And some of you are at the very beginning and maybe you just stumbled onto what we do here. And remember, there's nothing wrong with starting small. That's where, the great progress often begins. And that's where you make the beginner gains on everything. So if I list all these things off and you do half of them, great. If you do none of them, the benefit to you is that you'll probably start feeling like, from your current bag of shit stance to a rock star sooner than later. Because if you're doing nothing and then you integrate all of these, it's a complete 180. If you do none of these things right now and you do a couple of them, you're gonna start to feel, what a healthy person feels like. And then I think once you can feel that, there's really no turning back. It's like really any other, kind of highly addicting drug. If that's your personality type and you like the way it feels, it's gonna be hard to get off of it, is what I'm saying. So if you're, a person who is addictive personality type and you start, doing heroin, you're shooting dope, it's gonna be hard for you to get off it because you're gonna be chasing that euphoric feeling of getting high, because it's like a feeling you've never had before. It's the same thing with health and fitness. If you've never been a healthy person and you feel like a bag of shit, then you start eating better, drinking water, getting quality sleep and exercising, doing tissue work and mobility. Yeah, that's a lot of work, but you start to miss the feeling if you start to go back to your old life where you start feeling bloated and lethargic and you just feel off when you don't get the workout in. You just feel gross when you don't feed your body the right things. So again, no matter where you're at in your journey, there's nothing wrong with starting small. And if you're already on your way, integrating these things, for some of you guys, might level you up 5%, 10%, 20%, and that can make all the difference in the world. So the biggest key, focusing on whole foods. That's why every time I post stuff at my house, when you guys watch us cook or in our coaching groups, we share more. But if you watch me on the grill, I always, hashtag a real food hustle because I think real food is the key. So the underlying theme of all this is focusing on real food is the key to getting the nutrients in you need for the day. To avoid nutrient deficiencies in your life, you have to be eating plenty of whole foods like fruits, vegetables, for you guys who are okay with them, whole grains, beans, proteins, and the healthy fats. Simple, stupid. If it runs, it swims, it flies, it grows from the earth, you can eat it. If it comes in a bag or a box that's highly processed, I'm not saying don't ever eat it, but just eat them sparingly and really pick your spots. Or even more dumbed down, protein, produce, and water. And wash, rinse, repeat that over time, you'll be successful. So again, there are certain nutrients that do strengthen the white blood cells' ability to fight infection. And these are the ones I would focus on as you go. And right off the top, if you had a guess, you probably know where I'm gonna go with this, but if not, hopefully it's a great educational tool. And even if you know most of these and you've heard them, this is a driver and a hard reminder home. You need to be putting these things into your life if you're not. And I don't just mean some of the time or once a week or once every 3 weeks. I mean every single day if possible. Because if you can do something once or twice a week in terms of like supplementation or eating food, I don't see why you can't do it every single day. That's just the way that I look at it. So the first thing, eat protein. And we've talked about this many times before. It's the building block of antibodies. So, and again, it's the building block of muscle. So if you want to look jacked, and be like Rambo or Brad Pitt from Troy, you have to eat enough protein every single day, because when you're in the gym, you're deconstructing the house. You're tearing the body down. If you don't eat enough protein, we can't build the body back up, so the muscles can't build back and grow stronger. And so if we know anything about the immune system and we know eating protein is a building block for antibodies, you should aim for a serving with every single meal or snack you eat. In fact, with our coaching groups and every person I coach personally and every group we run and we say, we always make the phrasing, if there's not protein in it, it's not a meal. If there's not protein in it, it's not really a feeding. And that's why I say, if you're gonna eat a banana, throw a little protein in there. If you're gonna have, a piece of bread, throw a little protein in there. Protein should be in every meal, and that can be a myriad of things. It can be eggs, chicken, steak, fish, turkey, you name it. There's so many quality choices you can throw in, but it's vital and it's a must. And I do think, if I'm generally speaking here, men do okay with it. It's one of the few things men probably do better than women, at least what I've seen over the past decade plus. But all of us could do a little bit better. And for most of you guys, it's probably 0.8 grams to 1 gram per pound you weigh would probably be ideal. Some of you can get by on less. I don't think any of you really need to eat anymore. So dumb down, that's if you weigh 150 pounds, you'd eat about 150 grams of protein, or on the low end, maybe 120-ish grams of protein. Well, I like to say for anybody out there who's struggling and doesn't even measure it now, and you track it for a couple of days and you're at 30 grams, just eating over 100 grams per day to start would be a great kind of jump off spot. And then over time, you can improve it. If you're eating 30 now, jumping to 150 is gonna be a lot for you. It's probably gonna cause you some issues on the toilet and maybe just some discomfort. So if you're at a small number now, gradually build up to where you should be, which for most of you, probably 0.8 grams to 1 gram per pound you weigh is probably the sweet spot. And that doesn't gotta be every single day. If there's a day you eat 0.6 grams, if you were to track it, it's okay. It's what we do consistently most of the time that's gonna make the biggest difference. The second thing, vitamin C. Vitamin C is needed to prevent and fight infections. Obviously, whole foods are probably gonna be the best source. And if I was you guys to aim for, maybe like 1 or 2 servings per day. Now these can be, like your lemons, these can be your oranges, they can even be, your peppers. There's a lot of places you can find vitamin C. Also, you can supplement it as well. I would say, add in a vitamin C supplement every day is gonna be key for many of you guys. It's super cheap. If you look behind me, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my little desk over here. I got athletic greens on there. There's some bean, there's some mushrooms, there's D3, and there's some vitamin C right behind it. So I typically will supplement with about 2,000 grams of vitamin C per day. I typically take one in the morning and I take one later in the day. It's dirt cheap. It's super easy to do. And then if I eat any fruit on top of it, I'm winning. Even yesterday we went up north here in Arizona, went hiking and paddleboarding here in a great little lake and awesome views. But we packed a cooler full of stuff because Heather wanted to hang out there the whole day. And I bought one of those little fruit bowls from the grocery store. And it was just fresh fruit cut up. It was tangerines, grapes, and what else was in there? Strawberries. It was amazing. And so again, that's an easy way to get vitamin C in. And I always say fruit is like nature's dessert. I forget how much I do like fruit. I should buy it more, but it's a slippery slope for me because it gets dangerous and I want to eat like 40 pieces of fruit. So I tend to try to buy a single serving stuff and take that home every single day. So on top of eating, whole foods that have vitamin C in it, which again, we know is needed to, prevent and fight infections in the body, I think supplementing for most of you guys with 1,000 milligrams on top of the fruit you're eating is a great way to start. Next, vitamin D, which you have heard me talk about before. Again, it's right behind me here. I take it every single day. I never miss it, even though I live in Arizona. The last probably 5 years, I've been perfect on my blood work with that. But there was a time when I first moved here, and maybe not the first 6 months I moved here because I was in the sun every single day because I didn't have a job and I laid by the pool and I was just trying to be jacked and tan. And maybe I wasn't that jacked yet, but I certainly was tan. But there has been 2 times in the span which I've lived here and got my blood work drawn where I was vitamin D deficient, where I did not have enough, or I don't know if I was deficient or insufficient. I don't know the classifications in terms of blood work numbers, but I just remember they said it was low and that I should supplement with it because it was a problem. And people sometimes find that hard to believe here. And I do think almost like 70% of people who live in the state of Arizona are not at sufficient vitamin D levels. And people probably find that strange because because we live here and it's sunny about 330 days of the year. But on a normal season of life, on a normal schedule, like I'm not in the sun hardly at all. Like I'm inside, and even right now, yeah, I have shorts on, but I have a long sleeve shirt on. And a lot of times throughout the course of the year here, I have pants on and a t-shirt or a long sleeve shirt, and I'm inside a building all day. I don't get out in the sun as much. Now, during this weird season of life, I've made an effort to be in my pool way more, go outside way more, especially when we're like locked in the house for so fucking long. But there was 2 different occasions where I was, not getting enough vitamin D in my life, and that's a huge problem. I think if you look right now in terms of the world, especially the stuff you can pull up on, COVID itself, people who were struggling the most, a lot of them in the hospitals, did not have a sufficient amount of vitamin D in their system, and vitamin D helps protect against respiratory tract infections. That's the key here. So if we know there's a virus going around and it's causing like respiratory distress in people, and we know vitamin D helps protect against respiratory tract infections, I don't see why you wouldn't throw it into your life. I'm not saying it can prevent anything. I'm not saying it can cure anything, but obviously I think we can, paint a broad brush and see like there might be some connection there. And if it can help even 2%, why not do it? I think personally, and again, I'm just an idiot in a warehouse, I think it can help way more than that. So if we know that vitamin D can help protect against respiratory tract infections, and if you're a person out there who doesn't live, near the equator, I would consider supplementing, with vitamin D. For most of you guys, it's probably anywhere from, 600 to 5,000 IUs per day. Obviously, before you do anything, don't listen to a meathead on the internet. Check with your medical professional and somebody who's going to guide you along the way. But if you look at me and you consider me to be a healthy, somewhat sane human being, I do 5,000 IUs a day. In fact, if I look at my supplement that's right here, I take a vitamin D3 that actually has K2 mixed in it as well. So I do take the 5,000 IUs per day with the K2 supplement, and I never miss a day of that. And I haven't in probably a couple years, especially now more than ever. There was even a time throughout this where I was talking with some of our medical folks, and I was taking, maybe 10,000 maybe once a week just to keep things funky. And again, that's just me, what I do, and I'm saying it works for me, but I do think all of you guys do need to get that. Also, a great way to get the vitamin D is to actually be out in the sun. So that's a huge thing. So if you can get your ass outside and be in the sun, probably at least 20 to 30 minutes per day, and let most of your body be hit by it. So I'm not just saying you can't go outside with a long sleeve, shirt and pants on. You got to let that sun actually hit your chest and your back and your legs. The biggest, open exposed areas of the body is the way that you're going to be able to absorb it the best. And even with that, I think supplementing with a vitamin D supplement is probably going to be ideal, because your body doesn't produce it by itself. So if you don't get it through sunlight or supplementation, you're not going to get it. And I think that does put you at a risk for a multitude of things, because it's not just a vitamin. If it can help regulate the hormones in the body and make you just a more badass human, and again, that's super cheap. Like these 2 supplements I just listed, vitamin C and vitamin D, are dirt cheap. Some of the 2 of the cheapest supplements that are out there. So it's not a finance thing. Anybody can afford those. There's not many things cheaper than these 2, other than probably the next one. Which oddly enough, like if you're talking about, things that can strengthen white blood cells to fight infection, 3 of the cheapest supplements you could take: vitamin C, vitamin D, and then zinc. It's crazy, right? Like, and I don't want to get off topic here because I don't got a lot of time today, but it's funny that we haven't preached this enough, like on the news and in the media to people to help them, get through not just this season of life, but forever. Like, why would we not be telling people to supplement with these 3 cheap ass things that literally cost almost nothing and can help people? Even if people ate like complete garbage, which I think obviously real food is always going to be the key if you can eat these things. But if you struggle with them and you can supplement them for, literally pennies, I don't see why that wouldn't be on the forefront of every conversation we have. That mixed in with like, obviously whatever people's taking is on vaccines, whether you're a vaccine person or an anti-vaxxer, I don't really give a shit where you stand. But knowing if you're super unhealthy and you have all these other underlying issues that vaccines might not work that great in your body because your body is such a bag of shit, why would we not say take these 3 things? Just food for thought there. When you're listening to stuff and reading stuff and seeing stuff, when quote unquote experts or people are telling you what to do, why that wouldn't be part of the conversation is make yourself the healthiest, strongest immune system possible is literally beyond me. But I digress to zinc on the list here of things. Now, if we know anything about zinc, it can support those T cells, baby. And if we know anything about the immune system, man, the more badass the T cells can be, I call them the Mike Tyson cells, the ones that kick the shit out of stuff coming your way. So that's why I think it's important. And obviously, the whole food sources could be things like the whole grains, oysters, scallops. I believe even blueberries got a little bit of zinc up in there, if I'm not mistaken. Those are probably the best, the best ones are probably those, the whole grains, the oysters, the scallops. There's a ton of zinc in a handful of things. And also there's the lozenges. I think they have zinc lozenges that can help you actually if you are already sick. But supplementing with zinc is dirt cheap. I think I take a 50 milligram, honestly, per day. And if you guys are, listening to me for any amount of time, you've heard me talk about athletic greens. Again, if you guys are ever interested, I can always get you a link for 20 free travel packs, so you can, basically get a month for free on me when you try them. And it's, again, the one supplement that I never miss. I don't skip a day no matter what. I always take it because I believe in it that much. And if you're really on the fence about it and you're not sure about investing the money, hit me up. I'll send you a pack right to your front door. You can try it. Nobody else is doing that. I am doing that for you because I give a shit about you guys, and I know it can help you. And I know you'll like the flavor of it. I mean, it's not a milkshake by any means, but it is by far the best tasting greens out there. And when you look at this list of the stuff, like even Athletic Greens has 15 milligrams of zinc in it, which is 100% of, what your daily allowance would be. Now I take a 50, and I take the Athletic Greens, so I'm getting quite a bit more. And that's what I do, and it works for me. And people say, well, aren't you just gonna piss out all the extra? I'm like, well, I'd rather have too much of something good that's causing me no adverse health effects than not enough. I'd rather have a little bit too much and throw it away, which I don't think is the case, than have not enough and be deficient in something and be run down and be sick and be more susceptible to shitty stuff that comes my way. On a side note, Athletic Greens also has 420 milligrams of vitamin C, which is 700% of what you need for the day. So on top of like a trillion other things, that is in there. So you kill 2 birds with 1 stone just by taking Athletic Greens. So you don't have to buy the 2 supplements. You throw that D in there and you guys are right as rain. So Athletic Greens in your D and you guys are probably set. As long as you're eating real food, not filling your body full of a bunch of bullshit, you'll be all right. So if you want to try the greens, you hit me up. But with that said, those are the 3 big ones: C, D, and zinc, all ridiculously dirt cheap. And again, if you can get them eating real food, that's ideal. And if you can get the D with being in the sun, cool. If not, supplement them, dirt cheap, easy, and then try to eat as much of those foods as you can on top of that, so you're really covering all the bases. Again, I'm always going to say real food is the key, but when it's not possible, dirt cheap supplements at least to kind of cover the gaps until you can get back to crushing the real food. And the last one I'll leave you with is the omega-3 fatty acids, which are key. And we've talked about these before on the podcast. Your omega-3 fatty acids have been shown to reduce inflammation and help the white blood cells actually do their job, which is fight off infection and not have so much chronic shit inflammation in the body. So obviously you can eat plant sources of the ALA daily, such as chia seeds, which you guys hear me talk about all the time, or if you watch the videos on Instagram TV or YouTube. I love chia seeds. Throw them into your oatmeal. They're great. You can throw them into your protein shakes. Just dump them in your mouth and swallow them. Like, it's fine. Walnuts are actually another great source of them. And flax seeds. At our house, we do a mix of these chia and flax seeds. My wife likes to mix together and throw into her protein shake, so that's easy to do. And another good route is the oily fish for the DHA and the EPA, 2 to 3 times per week if possible. Salmon is probably the most popular one that we do at our house, and always wild caught salmon. Don't buy that farm raised bullshit. There's no nutrients in that stuff. It's terrible for you. Spend the money if you can and get the wild caught salmon. I promise you it's worth it. And that's a great way for you guys to get the DHA and the EPA. And if you can do that, 1-2 times a week or 2-3 times per week, even better. And if you can't do that, or if you don't eat fish, you don't like it, or you live in Nebraska and they don't have a lot of fresh fish because you're kind of landlocked, I would say consider, supplementing it if you don't eat fish with a high quality fish oil or krill oil. I take the krill oil from JLab. I like the work that those guys do over there. I think that is the key. So it's real simple stuff. Nothing super complex and nothing earth-shattering here that you guys probably don't know. But if you're talking about like how can we fight infection with real food and what's the best way to do it, this is the way that I look at it. So obviously we know protein is key. So let's start with there. Have protein with every single meal. The next one, vitamin C. Obviously you guys know your oranges, your lemons, your citrus fruits, the peppers. There's a lot of ways we can get vitamin C into your life. And again, the supplementation of it is dirt cheap. Your vitamin D. Get your ass out in the sun. Get some sunshine in your life. And if you can't, supplementing it with maybe between 600 to 5,000 IUs per day, depending on what your doctor would suggest. I take the 5,000 per day and try to get a little bit of sunshine each day. That is my goal. Sometimes the sunshine doesn't happen depending on work schedule and what I have going on, but I've made a real diligent effort over this time of life to make sure I get my ass outside and do that. And then obviously zinc, and again, you guys can get zinc through, scallops, oysters. A lot of the whole grains are going to have them. Ezekiel products actually have zinc in them, which are amazing. So if you love the Ezekiel cinnamon raisin muffins, which I do, I toast them, throw a little peanut butter on those bad boys, and cut up a little banana. It's like a nice little sweet treat, and it has zinc in there. So again, you're and the Ezekiel products are the sprouted whole grain, so I believe they are complete proteins. It's like the only complete protein grain source, I think, which is pretty badass, and it has zinc in there. And then obviously rounding it out with the omegas, which we know. So if you guys can eat the oilier fishes, like your salmons, I think you guys are going to be golden. And you can also get it from the plant sources too: chia seeds, walnuts, flax seeds. All those things are money. And again, if you can't do that, quality fish oil, krill oil will kind of cover the gaps. But at the end of the day, proteins, green veggies, fruits is going to cover most of these. But when your diet's not perfect, and none of our diets are perfect, these are easy ways to throw these in. And that's why I do take an athletic greens every single day. And if I have to add something on top of that, like a D and the omegas, that pretty much sets you up for success. But I try to eat as much of it as possible. Even for me, I know I'm not going to eat, 5 or 6 servings of greens per day. I know I'm not going to eat 6 servings of fruits per day. If I did it, I weigh 300 pounds because I'll just keep eating and eating and eating it. It's hard for me to stop, if I had a whole pineapple in front of me, not to crush the whole thing, especially if it's a good one and fresh. And if you're in Hawaii, it's impossible. You have to eat the whole thing. I think it's a law there, actually, in the state. But anyways, you guys, hopefully that helped a little bit. And again, if you're really concerned about, your immune system and staying healthy and fighting off infection, I would focus on drinking a ton of water, eating real food, making sure you're filling your body with the proper nutrients that are going to strengthen the white blood cells so you can fight off any infection, disease, and horseshit that comes your way. Now, again, I can't promise you'll never get sick. I can't promise you nothing will never infect you and make you feel a certain way, but what I can say is if you're sleeping well and you're staying hydrated and you're doing all these things every single day with proper exercise, you're going to be in a much better spot than if you weren't doing it. And that's all any of us can really do. We can't control what happens to us or the things we get exposed to, but we can control how we treat our ecosystem and our environment, which is our body, which is our life cycle, which is our everything. That's why it baffles me that I see so many people walking around treating their body like a landfill and a dumpster and a trash can, like they're gonna get a fucking new one at some point. As far as I know, a Neuralink isn't gonna exist, in the next couple of years. So you can't just, upload your consciousness into a new unit and just walk around. That's fantasy. That's not reality. And even if it was, why would you want to abuse and beat the shit out of the one thing that God gave you that was yours? And it might not be perfect, but why beat the shit out of it? And why put it under undue stress and make it deficient in things and make it work harder than it has to just to function? And again, I've said this before and I'll say it a million times over, even if this didn't extend your life by a single day, it will enhance the quality of it by just doing these very simple things. And nothing I listed here is overly expensive. Nothing I listed here is super hard to find. You guys can hit me up for discounts on all of these things. If you want to use the exact same supplements I use, I'll send you the direct links to them. You can try them. If you have questions on the foods I like to eat, I'll be happy to do it. But it's real simple stuff. I say do what works for you. I like eating eggs. I like eating steak. I like chicken. I like turkey. I like fish. I like damn near all the citrus fruits. In terms of getting my zinc, I do love the Ezekiel products and the omegas. I like eating salmon, and I use the J-Lab krill oil to make sure I cover the gaps, because I'm not going to eat salmon every single day, and I'm not going to eat fish every single week, 2 or 3 times per week. Some weeks it's only once. Some weeks I don't eat it at all. But I try to be really diligent with it. That's why these things exist, to kind of cover the gaps in anything we do miss with our real food. Because let's face it, we're all busy and we're all stressed, and we all got shit to do, and very few of us are ever going to make enough time to make our diet be perfect and hit every single thing we have to in terms of macros and micros. But the things I listed here, if you can do these consistently, which all of you can do, these are all simple things. They're all relatively cheap, and it doesn't take that much time, effort, and energy to do. It takes a little bit. So if you're willing to give that, you're willing to give your body a fighting chance to kick the shit out of anything crappy that comes its way. And even if you do get sick or something happens, at least puts you in the best position possible to have an internal Mike Tyson, in your corner fighting for you, rather than just some, weak, sloppy bag of shit, trying to fight off infection for you. I prefer to have an internal Mike Tyson, and I think you guys would as well. So hopefully you guys got something out of that and enjoyed it. If you got any questions on any of the food I listed, or the supplements, or the brands, please feel free to hit me up, shoot me a message. I'm happy to send any information your way. And again, just a reminder, our 47-day transformation, 47daytransformation.com, is closing down enrollment here in 5 days and just a couple of hours. So if you're interested, hit me up. We'll go over through all of these things and much more in terms of full nutrition and training and everything I do over the next 50 days. You guys will be privy to it. You'll get to see it. We'll hang out, we'll bullshit, we'll talk, Tupac trivia, and anything else that's going to make you a healthier, happier person. So that is going on. And if you need a little bit of a discount to make it easier during these weird times with the economy and money and starting work and stopping work and all the shit we've had to deal with, I'm happy to give you guys a little podcast discount code if it can make life just that much easier. And you'll be surrounded by a real positive, supportive group of badass humans who we all have the same goal. We're just trying to all wade through this shitty season of life together and get fitter doing it. And if life has slowed down for you, or things are a little bit off or strange, why not make this the time to actually get healthy and be healthy and change the habits that have been holding you back, from your goals for years. And the way I feel of this season of life, everybody, is like if you ever watched Shawshank Redemption, I kind of feel like I'm Andy Dufresne and I just broke out of the prison cell, but I'm trudging on my hands and knees, army crawling through the pipe of shit, 500 yards to get to freedom. And hopefully we're past the 250 yard mark at this point, and we're on the back, 200 yards at the back, 100 yards of trudging through the shit. I really don't know, but that's how I feel right now. And you guys basically have a choice. You can stay in the prison and just wait it out until they release you, whenever that is, or for lack of a better term, you can break out of the cell and jump in the tube of shit with me, and we can all kind of wad through it on our hands and knees together through the end of 2020 here. And as we come out on the other end, I want you to be a healthier, happier person, have a nutrition education, and have a belief in yourself that you can kick the shit out of damn near anything that comes your fucking way. And that starts with making yourself the healthiest person, both physically and mentally. And then the spiritual and the emotional, follow shortly. And then from there, sky's the limit. So that's what the program's about. And I'd love to have you guys up in there if that's something that sounds like it is up your alley. So any other questions or requests or comments, shoot me a message. I'll get back to you as soon as humanly possible. And if you find yourself on iTunes listening to this and you have the podcast app on your iPhone, stop right now. Don't be a lazy ass. Go to the podcast app when I'm done. Scroll your finger all the way down to the bottom. It takes you about 15 seconds. click 5-star, write a review. Love to hear what you guys have to say about the podcast. And if you're listening on an iPad or your MacBook, go to the iTunes icon, double click it, type in Jeremy Scott Fitness, 5-star this bad boy, and drop a few sentences. And if you love it a lot, send it to a friend or family member who you think it can help. I would appreciate it. Selfishly, it helps us, but more importantly, it helps them be a more badass human being. So we appreciate you guys. Stay safe, stay sweaty as always. Make sure you integrate these things into your life consistently, and it will make you a healthier human being, and I think it'll make you happier as well, which, hey, if we're not happy, what the hell is this all about anyway, right? So until next time, eat well, train hard, be nice to people, and please, you guys, keep doing shit you love with people you enjoy, because your life is too short not to. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.